the Solo Coach Podcast.
Good morning, Alex.
What?
Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing to join me today.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting.
The pleasure is all mine. So, to introduce you, Alex Thornton is joining me today on the show. Alex is a high-performance leadership expert with a mission to enable breakthroughs. Her book, Intuitive Thinking: 7 Steps to Transform Your Life Forever, came out in February this year, and her passion is for helping everyone to unlock their personal greatness. Alex is also the head of Human Alchemy, a leadership development consultancy which empowers organisations and their leaders to be extraordinary. I met Alex at a CRS editorial network based in Roundhay Park a few weeks ago. And when I say met, I overheard a conversation between Alex and Craig, who runs the walk, which I was so impressed by that I just knew I wanted a one-to-one with Alex without having even said hello. And when we did meet for that one-to-one a couple of weeks ago, my suspicions about you were confirmed. And all I'm going to say is you're in for a treat this week, folks, because Alex has a lot to say and it's going to be a great conversation. I just know it. So to begin with, can you tell us more about your current role at Human Alchemy?
Yeah, what an introduction, David. Thank you so much. Like, ooh, the pressure. I'm living up to
No
that.
pressure. No pressure.
So thank you. Firstly, I just want to say again, thank you so much for having me on today. I loved our conversation when we first met. And we just really vibed, and we just I really enjoyed it, and I feel like we're kind of on the same wavelength. So I'm really, really looking forward to today because I know it'll just be a really good chat. But to answer your question, yes, I run Human Alchemy, and we are a leadership and management consultancy, development company, training company. We're lots of things. And basically what we do is we help leaders and managers to be the best leaders that they can be. And how do we do that? Through workshops, through mentoring and coaching, but mostly it's through that sort of development or training programs, things like that. And we work with people at every level of an organization, from the board, the senior leaders, to managers, to who we call emerging leaders, those people who want to be managers in the future. They deserve to know about leadership and management as well. And the thing that I guess I love the most about my role is that actually all of our profits go back to the students. So we are owned by a college group, and I can explain why that is if you want to. Like, why on earth does a college group own a leadership consultancy? Ask me that later if you'd like to know more. Essentially, what that means is that we are a not-for-profit, so all of our profits go back to the students. And in my world, that means that we're training the next generation of leaders. So every time any client works with us, they're not only training their team, but they're helping to support the next generation of leaders and managers. And that helps them, those students, to come out of the college system with the skills that they actually need to be really good employees. So that gets me out of bed, I have to say. So I absolutely love my job. I think it's just brilliant.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for giving us that tour of human alchemy and what they do. I definitely want to dive further into leadership with you. I know we're definitely going to cover that. But first, I'd love to sort of ask you more about you. So what led to you being in your current role at Human Alchemy?
Oh, good question. Right. So here's where I admit I trained as an archaeologist. Now, clearly, that is...
Shout out to any archaeologists listening.
So I've been an archaeologist for I ended up being an archaeology consultant. And you're probably going right now, archaeology leadership, what on earth is the link there? Well, I wasn't a very good archaeologist, basically. I realized that my skill set was more around working with the clients that we were working with. And my job really as an archaeologist, as a consultant, was to liaise between the local planning authority, the public, the developers, the kind of statutory stakeholders like Historic England, what I realized was that I was really good at understanding how people's minds worked and why they were behaving in the way that they were, and how to kind of politely and generously influence that behavior so that we all ended up with what we all wanted, really, how we all met our own kind of needs for this. So I realized that the archaeology was kind of irrelevant. What I was actually interested in was people. I was fascinated by people. And the archaeology bit was all about kind of the dead people. Gross, I know. But I could deal with alive people. So I ended up, I trained as a coach. I ran my own coaching business for a while. I'd left the world of archaeology realizing, well, frankly, between you and me, I was burnt out, and it was the time to leave. And I can go into that more if you'd like. But yes, it was a typical story of burnout in the corporate world, which led me to go, what do I actually want to do? What do I really enjoy? So I trained as a coach, set up my own coaching business, and was coaching kind of internationally for quite a while. And then this role came up. My friend is the lead coach at Human Alchemy, and she said, this business combines your consultancy skill set with your coaching passion and your understanding of people, and you'd just be great. So come and apply. And obviously I ended up getting the job. So thank you.
Yeah, wow. So to delve into that a little bit deeper, because I know it's a really interesting story and one that aligns a lot with my own as well. I'd love to take you back to when you made that decision of, right, archaeology is over, I'm done with it. How did you then decide what to pivot into?
Right. That's a great question, because it was a tough time. It was really tough because I'd been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. I also had been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And so I had some time off work, quite a sort of good 3 months or so, which was quite tough, actually. I like to work. So that was really hard for me to genuinely focus on myself and try and get better. Anyway, I did, which is great. So I came back to work and realized, yes, this isn't really where I need to be. It's not helping me physically or emotionally, and I'm not being the best that I can be at this company anymore. So I looked around and thought, is there another archaeology consultancy I can go to? Is there another consultancy? Is there another role? I didn't really want to go back to uni, all of these different things. And for quite a long time, I felt like I was stuck between a rock and a hard place of not really wanting to give up this, step out of my comfort zone, or my uncomfort zone, as I called it. Because it was well paid. I had some, interesting clients. It was interesting. It was cool. Archaeology is cool. And it was my security blanket. It's what I'd done the whole of my life. And also, I didn't want to let my mum and dad down, or, there are all these shoulds, aren't there, over like, oh, I should stay in the well-paid job, and I shouldn't go and do other things. And, I don't know what are people going to think of me? So I spent a while looking for different roles, and nothing really clicked. So I ended up getting a coach, and she specialized in career transitions. And I thought, this is brilliant. I know I want to transition into something, but I'm not really sure what it is. Anyway, having worked with her for probably a month and a half or so at the time, I realized that the key thing for me was I wanted to set up my own business. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know I had any of the skills. I didn't know what people were going to think about that. I didn't know how I was going to make any money. I didn't even know what I wanted my business to be, but I knew that was the thing. And anyway, having worked with her, it's like, this is the thing. This is what I love. I love people. I love helping them to believe that they are enough exactly as they are. I love listening to them and helping them to feel really heard. And I also love to what I call generously challenge. So a lot of my friends, they'd always come to me for, that ear when they've got a problem, or a little rant, or a little moan, or I don't know what to do about so-and-so, go to Alex. And I was a very good listener, but I was also, what I realized, very good at going, yeah, but what's really going on? What's this deeper thing? What are you really afraid of? What's stopping you? And I started to go, hey, wait a second, Alex, what's stopping me? What if you can do this to other people, what are you not doing? Why are you not doing that to yourself? Why are you not asking yourself, what's stopping you from doing this thing? And I realized there was nothing other than what I thought people might say. And I didn't even know if that was true. I worried that my parents were going to think, oh, what are you doing? Or my friends would disown me, or whatever it might be. So I jumped. I basically quit my job and jumped into kind of a business. And I knew it was something to do with coaching, and set up my coaching business. And guess what? Everybody just went, that's well done. It's crazy. I know you can do it though. And all these things that I thought people were going to say to me, they just all said the opposite. And so I, set up my business. And was it easy? No, of course not. Did I have to learn loads of new things? Yes. Am I where I am now because of it? Yes, absolutely I am. And it was the best decision I've ever made. Couldn't thank it more, really.
Wow. Well, firstly, for anyone listening, I just want to caveat, I haven't paid Alex to come on and talk about the power of coaching. But again, it's so wonderful to hear of someone that was at that crossroads, similar to the crossroads I found myself at. Can totally relate to everything he said about being worried about what people will think, what people will say, how they'll perceive our actions. I had all of those fears, some really irrational ones that former employers might take offense, that I've changed career and might take it personally. I was so scared that doing something differently is just going to offend everyone in the whole wide world, and even people I haven't even met yet, it's going to offend them as well. And in reality, it didn't do that. It sounds like it didn't for you either.
No, those little imposter syndrome gremlins, they tell you anything, don't they? They tell you everything that they need to tell you to keep you stuck and safe, in inverted commas, in your uncomfortable comfort zone. Because anything different might mean, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. But every time I speak to someone who has shifted their career or given up the corporate world or set up something scary or done anything scary, they go, it was okay. Tried it. And everything I thought was going to happen didn't happen, or it was okay, or I figured it out, So it's just this thing. If you feel it's strong enough, you feel like I've got to do it, just do it, just try it. And you can get me to talk about coaching all you want. Honestly, if I hadn't had coaching, and I would say everybody should have a coach at some point, because everybody deserves to have someone who is just 100% in their corner, just listening to them, solely focused upon what they are trying to say and do, and trying to understand and help them. We all have friends or family who might listen, but that coach has this extra, they're like your cheerleader times 200. They are this person who can just really push you to be the best that you can be and free you from those imposter syndrome gremlins. So honestly, I could talk about it for hours about why everybody deserves a coach. And they might not have one forever, that's okay, but everybody should have one at some point to show them what else they can be, how much bigger, stronger, but also how perfect they are right now as well. Does that make sense?
I agree, and I really like how you shifted there from everyone should have a coach to everyone deserves a coach at some point. I always feel like no one needs a coach, but I feel like everyone can benefit from coaching, and I feel that coaching is a gift. And you can ultimately, my clients could achieve what they're going to achieve with me by themselves. I'm sure they could, but I feel it would take a lot longer, and it would be a lot more painful. And by working with me, by working with any coach, it enables you to achieve accelerated results and to get where you need to be quicker and to have those realizations. My mum used to say to me as a child, you learn every lesson the hard way, David. And I do. but working with a coach, it's enabled me to learn a few of those lessons in a slightly less hard way.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I don't know if I believe that I could have achieved as much as I have without a coach. I mean, you very kindly said that people would get there in the end. Maybe, and I don't know. I can only speak for myself, of course, but I'm not sure. I certainly wouldn't have got there as quickly or as kind of transformationally. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. I don't think I would ever have been able to push myself as hard, but in such a kind, friendly, cheerleading based way as some of the coaches I've had. Some of them just go to me, Alex, you're holding yourself back and you don't even know. And that's the bit that a coach can do. It's that extra, there's more to you than this, to your gremlins, to your, I keep talking about these little imposter syndrome gremlins, or those, you know, the fears in the back of your mind of, oh no, I couldn't possibly do X, Y, and Z, or whatever it might be. Your coach just knows that you can. Sometimes you just need that person to be there and just go, you can do this. Great.
I like that. I always say often at networking events to prospective clients, I say, you know, I'm a coach. I don't give advice. If you come in and tell me your 5 problems, I won't give you 5 solutions. That's not how it works. But it's hard to explain what we do. And I loved the power there of that. What you mentioned is that your coach offered a very powerful observation. I think that's what we do as coaches. We ask really open and insightful questions. We reflect back what we've heard, but then we offer observations that can then pave the way to a light bulb moment, a realization, an epitome of, oh my goodness, it's been this all these years and I didn't realize it. It's the power of that observation.
Absolutely, completely agree with you. So we get at Human Alchemy, we get asked quite a lot the difference between a mentor and a coach, because we offer both of those services. For us, a mentor is someone who has basically been there, done it, got the t-shirt in terms of leadership skill set. So they maybe have been a CEO or very high up in the military or someone, and has experienced a lot of the same situations that the leaders that we're working with are going through. So they offer practical advice. Mentors tend to offer advice. Oh, you could try X, Y, and Z. I think maybe Y would be the best option for you because of this. But what else? What are the other options? So that's the sort of mentoring role. And for us, the coach is, it will, as you say, will never give advice, but they ask those deeper questions to help you as their client to answer the questions you need yourself. You always have the answer inside you. A coach knows that. It's about getting that answer out and helping you to see different observations and be more aware of yourself. If that makes sense.
Exactly. I can feel my hair's standing on edge as we're talking so deeply and fondly about coaching. I just knew it was going to be a great conversation. I also did want to just take the chance to ask you, a lot of people listening to my to this conversation are solo travel fans or are thinking about going solo traveling. I know that traveling has been a part of your journey as well, and I was wondering, where did it fit into your journey and what did you get from it?
Okay, wow, traveling. I just adore traveling. I love, it's because it's all about people. There's always a new thing or a new culture or a new behavior or anything that I can just go, wow, this is exciting. So my big traveling started when I was 18. So I took a gap year between sort of A levels and uni, and I went traveling for 2 months on my own to Australia. And often people say to me, on your own for 2 months? I loved it. It's the best time of my life. No, it's not. It wasn't. It wasn't the best time of my life, but it was pretty up there. As a child or as a young teenager, you probably realize this about me already. I was very aware of pleasing others. And there's no kind of hardship there, but when I was traveling on my own, the only person I needed to connect with was myself. And it started off my journey of kind of self-awareness of who am I really, who is who is Alex inside? What does she want? What does she need? And what does she want to do? Where does she want to go today? And of course, I met people and I missed my family and all those different things. But Australia is this incredible place. I traveled down the East Coast. The beaches are amazing. There's always some amazing little kind of place to go and find, and the food's fabulous, and the people are always kind and friendly, mostly. When you travel alone as well, you find yourself in trouble at some point, and that's a learning curve. And learning you can get yourself out of trouble is really important as well. So that kind of set off this sort of independent journeying. I guess one of the other amazing traveling experiences I've had is I've been to Kruger National Park a couple of times on safari, and honestly, just you've seen a massive leopard behind me. I adore the opportunity to again see behaviour, animal behaviour in this particular situation, but to study the way that the animals interact with each other, the way that the cubs interact with the mother of the lions or whatever it was, or the way the elephants kind of herd together. Just gorgeous. I just spent 10 days just in awe of the beauty of nature in the world, really. So I would go back there again and again and again, to be honest. And then there's all the normal traveling of summer holidays off to Greece or whatever. We just come back from Catalonia, which I just love. That island is just incredible. Again, the people are so kind, friendly, food is amazing, beaches are just so loads of places.
Love it. Thank you, Alex. It's, there's that cliche that, oh, you've been traveling, was that to find yourself? But the point is I was also massive people pleaser. They talk about becoming institutionalized. I was so deep into people pleasing and doing what my organization wanted of me, that I'd lost myself in the process. I'd forgotten who I really was. I didn't know who I really was, and the idea of even a day on my own frightened me, because I knew that what the heck am I going to do? And there were times when I logged on or did some work at the weekends. I'm sort of slightly embarrassed to say, just because I needed to get out of my head. And being just in my head and in an empty house was so painful that I was like, right, I'm just going to go and install some updates to get out of my head, because it's doing my head in. And that was one of many triggers that led me to going traveling, because I knew I needed to figure out what on earth was going on inside. And it's not a criticism of the places I work with, that I worked for, my employers, my jobs. I had fantastic jobs and fantastic employers, but I had just found myself quite lost and needed to go away to kind of get unlost.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes some time, doesn't it, to actually allow yourself into your own head. We spend a lot of our time as human beings, especially nowadays, distracting ourselves from our own internal thoughts. Our phones and TV and shopping and all of these different things are huge distractions from really engaging with what's actually going on up here in our brains. And for me, stopping us from connecting with the real us, because sometimes the real us, it hurts, it's painful. Sometimes our thoughts are not nice and aren't kind of soft and kind and distracting in themselves. If our thoughts aren't kind to us, that is the time to listen to them and to go, not to distract ourselves from them. It's the time to go, hey, wait a second, is this what I really think about myself? There's little gremlins. And traveling is this great opportunity to go and see the world, but also to stop, to take some time, to breathe, to think, to connect back with yourself, and to just check in and go, who am I? Is this what I think? Is this true, what I'm thinking right now? Because our thoughts are our truth. They're not necessarily the truth. So I spent quite a lot of time studying this for my book and for the work that I do now for coaching. And a lot of the time we spend in our dark thoughts, and they're not always true. You know, you and I mentioned it already, all of our dark thoughts about why we should stay in our corporate jobs that weren't really serving us at the time was because other people might think they're what I call dark thoughts, because they're not true. We never asked them, we didn't know, we didn't have any proof, but they might have thought that. So traveling is this space. It's different. It's new place for our body to experience new things. And I'm quite spiritual, and I believe in kind of energies of the world and things. And sometimes we just need to go to a different place to think differently as well.
You're giving me so many thoughts, and there's so, well, I'm sure we could talk for 10 hours. Well, I certainly could, but your time's incredibly valuable. So, but one of the things I'm thinking about is the fact that, when you're in an organization, there's a hierarchy there, and certain people in the office sit in certain places, even certain floors of the office, because they've achieved a certain status, they're on a certain salary, they drive a certain type of car. And even organizations that are fairly flat, I imagine there's still a feeling of, I've always known when the boss walks in, and I've known, there's a difference between the cleaner and the boss, and maybe the way you talk to them and interact with them.
Yeah,
there's a hierarchy. And the point is, going into a hostel, I remember going into one and looking around the room and thinking, we're all on an even keel here.
yeah.
Like, yes, some of us have more savings than others. Yeah, maybe some people at home have a really nice house that they own, and a car, and a career they're going back to. And maybe other people in the room have none of that and just have, enough to live another few weeks before they go home and start again. But when you're in a hostel, when you're traveling, when you're walking up a mountain together with these people you've just met, you are literally all on an even keel. And I found that so refreshing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I hadn't really thought about it like that, so thank you. Yeah, you are right. I mean, human beings need to understand their status in what I call the tribe. So we're still cave people, essentially. So we like to understand that person over there is in charge, and that person over there is demonstrably not as high up in the hierarchy as me. We like to understand that. We like clarity and an understanding of our expectations around that. That said, when that's broken away and we go traveling and we're all on an even keel, there is something incredibly freeing about that, because you can make your own status at that point. You can create a new you, and you can rock up and you can be whoever you are, and no longer are you, well, I'm a blah 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 job title, because it doesn't really matter, does it? Ultimately, what matters is who you are inside. So the other thing that makes me think about that is I read somewhere, in fact, one of my coaches actually said to me once, please don't, what did she say? I can't remember the exact words, but she said, don't look for validation for yourself on anything that is changeable. So what she meant there was your job title. If you start to take who you are and your worthiness off the basis of your job title, or the car that you drive, or even your looks, your hair color, or whatever it might be, that's all changeable. Yeah, you could be made redundant tomorrow. Your hair could fall out. You're going to lose your youthful looks at some point. If you create your worth and your worthiness and your meaning based on these external factors, you will never feel fully enough, fully whole. And that really stuck with me. And I know we've gone off topic here, I'm sorry. But it made me think, when you went to that hostel and you met those people and you climbed those mountains, you were all part of the tribe together, that there wasn't any messiness. You were already enough just by being there in the room together. And some people like you more than others, and that's fine, but there wasn't any need for external validation, external kind of things. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about what car you drove or what job title you had at home. It was, who are you as a person? Are you a nice person? Are you kind? Are you generous? Are you going to make my life a bit more exciting right now? Do I want to climb this mountain with you? It's about, your status is about you, and that's it. Who you are inside, not anything else you can provide. Does that make sense? I've rambled on a bit there. Sorry.
It makes total and complete sense. And without going too far down this rabbit hole, I had a member of my family retire not long ago, and retirement for them was the hardest thing ever, because suddenly that their whole identity, which was what they did for 40 years for a living, was gone. And there was this crushing emptiness. They tried to get back into work, then left again. So retirement take two, I'm pleased to say, is now going really well for them, because they've discovered who they are and connected with their hobbies, their passions, their interests again, and kind of started to fill that vast empty chasm, which was that identity of what they did for a living. And I looked at them at the time and thought, I want to make sure that doesn't happen to me. I want to make sure that I know who I am, and there's lots of other facets to my character and my identity that are more than just what I do for a living, so that I don't have that horrible emptiness and realization of, oh my God, without this job title, what am I? Am I anything? I'm worthless. That kind of feeling.
Oh, completely. Thank you for telling that story, because that's so important for people to hear. I mean, it's where a lot of our work is with original founders of organizations, and they've done everything in the organization, and they've worked their way up to a really successful business, and then they want to sell it on, or they want to give it to their, daughter or son, pass it on, but they can't let go, because it's so them. It's so part of their identity that if they are no longer able to say, I'm MD or CEO of X company, they're just like lost. They're just, what do I do now? I can't just play golf for the rest of my life. And it's like, that's why so many people will need to kind of start to give back to the community, or want to do mentoring, or want to pass on their knowledge and their skills in other ways. And it's about having those things outside of work that are aligned with who you really are, and that light you up, that aren't to do with just the job title, basically. So I think so many people nowadays want to find more purpose in what they're doing. They want to connect with the company and what the vision and strategy is. They want to know that the company is doing something that makes a difference to society, because they understand that it's not just, no longer do we just go to do a 9 to 5 and get paid and we live for the weekend. A lot of people nowadays want to feel that they're part of something bigger, and leaders and senior leaders need to understand that. And we sort of try to start to talk about that with them, of going, what is this business for? What's the purpose of it? If it's just making money, then that's nice, but it's not enough for people nowadays.
Thanks, Alex. I really want to open that up and jump into that with you. So, in this rapidly changing world that we're living in, where AI is dominating and a lot of people are fearing their jobs, what do you think is key for organisations to be doing? And I'm thinking in through a leadership lens, to survive these next few years of this intense change that I can barely keep up with.
No, I can't either. So AI is a fascinating thing, but it's just a tool. Okay, so it is just something that will allow you to do your job slightly differently, and maybe quicker, yes, and maybe more effectively and more efficiently, to allow you time to do something else. And yes, it will take some jobs. Frankly, a personal opinion right now, if AI can be doing a job, then frankly, a human being shouldn't be doing that job in the first place, because it's not challenging them enough. Do you know what I mean? It's not, if a computer can do it, a person can serve elsewhere, right? So I think what's really going to happen is we're going to see a shift in what human beings are actually doing in that role. So rather than, I don't know, note taking, for instance, cool, you've got a note taker today, I know, or we all kind of have one of those now. It should save us a vast amount of time. That's not needing human brain power. It's not challenging that human enough. So we're going to have to start thinking as leaders and managers, and as everyone, frankly, okay, what is the human bit that's needed in this? Humans have to lead AI use. Your you probably know a lot more about this than I do, but it's human-led. You know, it's about thinking about, okay, I want to do this project. AI could be used in this particular way to get the outcome that I want. That means that that person can save that amount of time. What are they going to be doing now then? What's that time going to be used? We run a leadership and artificial intelligence workshop, which allows leaders and managers to start thinking about how to use AI in their organizations and the ethics behind it and the implications and what kind of projects they want to work on with it, but also how to communicate that to your people, because it is change, you know, and change is happening all the time. Human beings don't really like change. So we have to communicate it in the right way. So I think AI is another tool. I think of it as sort of reverse parking sensors. You know, we're suddenly going to get to a point where it's just so ingrained in what we do that we're just, oh yeah, you know, that AI is using for that, and we'll have moved on. And there's a bit of me that thinks it will just happen regardless of us having to control it. See what I mean? We'll just get through it rather than having to kind of make big changes. But on the other hand, I think if we don't use it appropriately, we can implement this thing in a messy way and in a way that isn't so kind of useful and will scare people. We don't want that. For me, always, it's about communication. It's about having a conversation with people who are using it and understanding, thinking it through in advance of what we really need AI for, and then communicating that to people. I've rambled on a bit there. I'm not sure.
No, thanks, Alex. I didn't know that you run a leadership workshop for, you know, specialising in AI and what leaders can do. And I know that it's a very apt topic at the moment. So I definitely encourage anyone listening to check that out, particularly if you're a leader there. But the question that I had that's now escaped me, will come back to me in a second. So my perhaps really oversimplified view of AI is, I heard that when clothes washing machines first came in post-war, people resisted them, they refused them, they said, no, it's terrible, it's awful technology, it's going to destroy my clothes, I'm going to continue to wash my clothes manually. A selection of people said that, and other people went, well, you know, it's new technology, great, I get to save time, I'll just use it. And now look, fast forward, you know, half a century, we've all got them in our houses, it's standardized. There's never a question of, oh, are you going to get a washing machine or not? We all just have them. And I feel that AI, you know, I feel it's getting that way now, where it's ingrained in everything we do. We accept it, we use it, and you can either resist change and resist technology, because humans are naturally change resistant and quite skeptical from a place of fear. Oh, is this going to take my job? Is this going to ruin my life? You know, is this going to have catastrophic impacts for me?
Yeah.
But in reality, you know, like the washing machine, we now just use them and then carry on with our lives.
Yeah, exactly. I think the media and sort of the movie world has led us to assume the worst, with that someday if we start using AI, then essentially the Terminators will rock up at some point. Now, having done this leadership and AI workshop with it, we partnered with an AI specialist company, because obviously we're leadership experts and we don't know anything about AI. I've learned so much. We're quite far away from the Terminators, as I understand. You know, it's like Excel spreadsheets, right? It's like any sort of new tech. It's like, you know, using a Zoom call. You know, I'd much prefer to be sitting in a coffee shop with you having a chat right now. But actually, we've all embraced this new tech, and we're just on, oh, this is great, this is brilliant. And you see the pros, and there's some cons, but you just move on, don't you? It's like anything. You know, when cars first invented, everybody was riding a horse when I'm never going to have a car, and now everybody's got 2 cars. So it's just more tech. We just need to start to think about how we critically analyze what AI is telling us, and that we don't become, I think my kind of word of warning is, it's already here. It's been here for 30 years, more, in fact, longer than that. just critically analyze what it's saying to you. You're using ChatGPT or whatever, just never put anything confidential in there, because it's out into the world immediately. And let's not get lazy, shall we? Let's use our brains. Or if you're using it to save time there, what is the thing that frees you up to do the more human role or tool or project? So every manager and leader I've ever speak to goes, I just wish I could speak to my people more. Okay, use AI to save yourself some time over there and go and speak to your people. Have a cup of coffee with them. You know, do the things that human beings crave. You know, that allows you to do that. That's my personal opinion on AI.
Exactly. No. And then pivoting our conversation from AI, I can't have this conversation with you without touching on the topic of intuitive thinking.
Okay.
what led you to writing your book?
So, right, well, I wrote it about this could be 5 years ago now, 4.5 years ago, and I was running my coaching business at the time, and it was like mid-December, and that's a quiet time for coaching because everybody's saving money for Christmas presents and on holiday. And so I was kind of not very busy for about a month or so. And I was working with another coach at the time, actually, ironically, and she said, I think you've got a book in you. It's like, oh, you know, well, maybe, I don't know. And she said, I think it's on using your intuition. And I said, oh, all right, well, I don't know. Anyway, so she'd sparked something in my brain, and she'd given me a little sort of, and nobody knows this. She'd given me like a kind of set way of writing a book. That there's a method that's a quick way of writing a book. Doesn't work for everyone, but essentially it's kind of topic structure. And I just sat and wrote for about a month and a half, 2 months. And the key thing was I never looked back at what I'd written. Because what I tend to do is I look back and I go, oh no, delete, write again. So I just let it flow out of me. I guess maybe my intuition was speaking to me at that point. And ended up with, I don't know, however many words, 50,000 words or whatever it was. And then, David, I sat on it. My imposter syndrome kicked in and went, who am I to write a book about intuition? Because I realized that I wrote the book for me. I hadn't been connecting into my intuition as much as I needed to. And it was a step-by-step guide for me to use to connect to my intuition better. And so I thought, oh, right, it's just for me. And who am I to write a book about it? And what will people say? Again, the same things. What will my mum and dad think? Because there's a bit in there about them. And oh gosh, my friends might read it. And, you know, and there's quite a lot in there that are very personal stories that demonstrate times when I absolutely did not listen to my intuition and got kicked quite heavily by what I call the universe. So spirit or God or whoever it might be, whatever is I don't necessarily believe in fate, but I do believe that there's something looking out for us. And I think ultimately, if you don't listen into your intuition and the feelings in your body, something, whether it's just your body or whatever, essentially just forces you to act on it in the end anyway. But so the book's quite a lot about listening into your body, really trying to figure out what it is you really want rather than what you think you should want or what society's telling you that you should want or what your parents would like for you. But also quite a lot about linking it back to AI, I guess. In your intuition is another form of data. So a lot of people go, oh, you know, I don't listen to intuition, it's just emotional. Actually, it's data. It's a lot of stored memories, feelings, emotions, energy in your body from past experiences. Now, doesn't mean it's correct. It doesn't mean that you should always trust it. But on the other hand, it's not, you shouldn't not listen to it, at least for a bit, or at least analyze it. So the book's also about just how do you check if it's your intuition or if it's your ego being sabotaged. What I mean by that is basically it's, oh, I should do this, or I shouldn't do this because mum and dad will tell me off, or whatever it might be. So one of the steps is, how do you check it if it's true, if it's your ego? And then the final bit really is about what happens when you trust your intuition, you go for it, and then people go, you're wrong. Okay, because people always have their opinions about what anyone's doing. And sometimes there'll be in times in your life where you trust your intuition, you go and you, I don't know, set up your own business or whatever it might be, and someone will have something to say to you about that. So how do you handle that? And then how do you say no? There's quite a bit, as a sort of almost a whole chapter on the power of the word no. You probably resonate with this as a people pleaser. That word is very hard to say, because if someone says, come on, we should go and do this, and your body's going, I don't want to do that, I feel like it's not the right thing for me. Actually having to say the word no to someone who you love or you care about, or you want to respect you, or want to like you, or you fancy, or is your boss, ooh, that's quite hard. So there's a whole section on the power of just being able to go, no thank you, that's not for me, and holding space for yourself to be able to do that without having to fill it with explanations or why or any of these different things justifying it. Just being able to go, no thank you, that's not for me. And they'll have their little things coming back to you, just not for me, thank you so much, really appreciate the offer, no thank you, not for me. And I've had to learn that, and I'm not always very good at it. Yeah. So wow. It was a fascinating journey for me. Probably the biggest journey bit was realizing that I actually needed to publish it. So last year I happened to bump into a publisher at a networking event. It's a good place to meet people that you like, is networking. And,
funny enough.
Yeah. And she said, oh, I think you've got a book in you. And I was like, I've heard that before. And I said, it's still saved on my computer, it's already written. And she said, oh, why haven't you published it? And I said, oh. And then I did that look where you kind of shrink down in your chair a little bit. You kind of like, anyway. And she goes, is it imposter syndrome? Is it that you don't think who are you to publish a book, and you're not the expert on this thing? And, well, so yes, all of those things. Yes, well done. And she said, okay, well, just let me read it. And this was hugely uncomfortable. Anyone judging you, judging your stuff, your work, anything. And then she said the kindest words in her life, which were, I like it. And she said, oh, it needs tweaking here and there, but no, I like it. And I went, oh, okay. And she went, right, I'm going to send it to an editor. And I was like, what? And she said, well, it's all free at the moment. We're just going to see if it's worth publishing. If it's, going to be sold, people will buy it. So it went off to an editor, and she said she liked it as well. And then I was on a journey. And yeah, so we published it last year. It was released on my birthday, 6th of February. That was a complete fluke. She said it only gets released, for some reason you have to release on a Thursday, don't ask me why. And she said February is the date, that the month that will work in terms of how much work we've got to do before then. So you've got the 6th, and then you've got, and I went, whoa, the 6th is my birthday, it has to be then. She said, okay, there we go. And there it is, up there. Published. And then worst bit is it's got my face on the front of it. You made me do that. Oh, now it will. There we go. So they're published, and people have very kindly bought it.
And I've seen some very fine reviews for it on Amazon.
Yes. Oh, that's yes.
We need to talk afterwards, because I'd like to buy a signed copy, please.
Oh.
It's definitely, hearing you speak, it's the book I need.
Oh.
I mean that.
Well, I will send you a signed copy for having me on the podcast.
What a journey you've thank you so much. What a journey. I don't do it for that, honestly. I'll tell you in a minute why I do it, but what a journey you've been on. And I'm so glad you met that person at that networking event and it went from your computer into the world.
Yes, me too, because I did fear. I woke up in a sweat one night actually going, what if I lose it? And that's when I realized, oh, okay, wait, if I care about it that much, probably if it can help one other person, then that's all I need, just one. And then it's worth publishing just to help one other person.
Wow. I honestly blown away by that. I knew it was going to be a great conversation. I didn't know it was going to be this good.
Oh,
My favorite part of that whole story, which I loved, was the fact that when you confessed, you wrote a book for you, and I felt the same way. I felt like my content, my podcast, it's my girlfriend calls it my form of self-expression, but I would add it's my confessional and it's a form of therapy for me as well. All of the content I write, everything I produce, this podcast today, it is ultimately for me. I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm writing content that I either need right now or could have really done with a few years ago when I was feeling lost, stuck, trapped, unsure of myself, all the rest of it. I haven't got all the answers yet, but I'm working on it.
yeah, yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. And do you know what? That some people might say that that's selfish, but I completely disagree. I don't think that's selfish at all, because helping yourself is one of the best gifts you can ever give yourself. And if you, the way you're doing it means that you can help others as well. So you're all growing together, you're all learning, you're building a tribe of people who resonate with what you're saying and who are feeling the same things and maybe going through some of the stuff that you've gone through. And that's such a gift to give back, to just be able to go, here you go, here's my thoughts. If they help, great. Yeah, let's connect. It's about humanity and connecting with each other and being authentic and vulnerable. And I commend you for it. I think it's brilliant.
Oh, thanks, Alex. And I just know that the conversation following her having listened to this episode, my mother's going to ring me and say, David, you must get a copy of that structure that Alex mentioned for writing a book fast, because my mother goes on and I'll rephrase that. My mother is such a huge fan and advocate for me writing a book and tells me all the time, have you written that book yet? Are you going to just go and write another page for the book? So I definitely, after this conversation, want to grab a copy of that structure from you, because I know I really want to be writing a book as well, because I imagine the process of doing it was quite therapeutic for you as well.
Do you know, honestly, I absolutely can't remember it at all. It just,
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was painful. Don't do it.
no, absolutely not. No, it was, no, it's like writing, for me, it was like writing a journal. So I just allowed the words to flow out of me without worrying whether that, I knew I'd sort the grammar out later or whatever it was. And I'll just edit it later, it'll be fine. And then when I went back to it afterwards, it was pretty much there. Like there wasn't a huge amount. The only things I wanted to change were my ego going, oh, you can't say that about, you can't be that vulnerable. You can't be that. What are people going to think about you if you say that? And I was like, I'm not listening to any of that. I'm not allowing my ego or my gremlins to get involved in this, because this isn't for me. It is for me. I'm in an acoustic duo with my partner, so I sing. One of the most vulnerable things in the world for me is to sing. My singing isn't for me, it's for other people. I have no idea how it sounds to them. So me telling me that I'm a rubbish singer, it's irrelevant, because I'm not the one listening. So I'm not the reader of my book. You're not the reader of your book. So you judging whether other people will think X, Y, and Z about your book, you don't know. It's the same as us setting up our own businesses and everybody going, and us thinking they're going to say this and this and this. We don't know. So you might as well write it, get it out there, and then people will love it.
Yes, and I'll add, everything I've done, changing careers, solo traveling, starting this business that's been a roller coaster. I've found the opposite. The people who I thought would have no interest at all have been quietly following me.
Yeah.
And then when I have missed a couple of weeks posting an episode of the podcast, they've reached out to me and said, "Hey, is everything all right? I'm wondering where this week's episode is." And some of them have even said, "Oh, can I have a chat with you because I'm thinking of starting a business, or I'm thinking of doing a bit of a solo travel trip." And
Cool.
every time it happens, I about fall off my chair in shock that these people, the last people on the planet I would have expected, are following, are listening, are reading, are genuinely interested, and I'm going to say a little inspired by what I'm doing because they're reaching out and they're interested. And I'm so honoured and privileged that they are, but also that, like you said, if the work we do, if the words we're saying today, if it reaches one person and helps them, then it's just worth it. And if it reaches two or multiple people, then that's just a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No longer should anyone, I believe, hold ourselves back in case we upset or annoy or don't say the right thing, because if we aren't saying the right thing to that person, they're just not meant to hear it. They just don't connect with it, or they're not in a time in their life where they're able to connect with what we're saying. And that's fine. That's okay. We're not meant to please everybody. We are human beings. We're here to find our people. But if we don't speak up and share our thoughts and our voice and be vulnerable and be ourselves, we will never find our people. So let's find them.
Love it, Alex. So sort of the last question as we round off today's fabulous conversation. I definitely want you back on the show at some point. It's been awesome. If someone's listening, if they never read your book, if they never hear anything from you ever again, and never have the opportunity to meet you, if they are already a leader of their team, or they're growing a business, or maybe they're going to step up to being a leader in the business they work in, what would be kind of that one takeaway message that you wish you could broadcast worldwide to all of the leaders and leaders of the future, if you have one?
Ooh,
I have
oh
a
my
feeling
God,
you do.
one. Just one. Okay, the one is a super cliche one, and I apologize in advance for the super cliche, but it is: we have one mouth and two ears. Okay, please, as a leader, speak last, listen first, because it's my book falling off the shelf. So as a leader, your people have the answers. They know the business almost as well as you do. Listen to them, ask them, listen to them, and let them speak first, because if you speak first, they'll just go, yes, what the boss says. So truly listen to understand what they're saying. That's my advice.
You heard it there. Brilliant. Wow. Thank you so much for coming on, Alex. If someone's listening, well, to all the people who are listening and enjoying this episode across all the platforms it's going to go out across, how do they get in touch with you?
So I'm available on LinkedIn. Shall we put it in the comments section of my LinkedIn? Yes. But feel free to email me as well. It's Alex Thornton at wearehumanalchemy.com. And more than happy to have a chat with any of your listeners. Absolutely no cost at all. More than happy to give some advice, some thoughts. So please feel free to get in touch. I'd love to speak to people.
Your LinkedIn, your email, and a link to your book, I'm going to put them all in the show notes for everyone to listen to. And all that's left to say from my side is thank you so much for coming on what has been a hair-raisingly exciting conversation. Don't know where the time's gone. I knew it was going to be great. I didn't realize it was going to be this good. I've been David Garwood, the solo coach, and you've been Alex Thornton. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I've loved it.
The Solo Coach Podcast.